Welcome everybody. Tonight is another Brad Stine movie night. Sorry, book night. We haven't been into the old Brad Stine book for about 3 or 4 weeks here, so I figure it's about time.
At least a fortnight. At least a fortnight.
Yes, as all the kids like to say. Tonight, Brad will talk about whether Christians should drink. So I hope you're excited for that. He might also drop a little offensive thing here or there.
You don't say. You don't say. Oh, great. So looking forward to it.
We will find that out and more tonight on
Zadanza. Let me tell you something. I did not expect the change in intro, and my God, is it perfect. Zod did not tell me. Did not tell me he did that. Props, sir. Brilliant. Please can we keep it forever? It's great.
Yes. I specifically wanted you to not see it until right at the end. So that was just my little surprise.
He did it. Yes. We're ready to worship. Boys and girls, get on your toes and let's praise the Lord. I'm ready.
Get on your toes and praise the Lord.
Yeah, get on your toes. Let's start singing about it's our Father's house. All right.
Come and go with me. Oh my God. Why do I want to call everything a movie?
Yeah,
I thought that song was so corny even when I was a Christian. I thought that was
I don't know, man.
It's a big house.
Big house. With lots and lots of room. And they got the football line in there for all the because we're watching the Super Bowl after church today. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Well, I just want to say something.
Okay.
We had a patron drop their patronage and in the message say that they are a federal worker who is now unemployed or looking at potentially being unemployed. And if you're in a situation like that, or if the economy is touching you in any way, please, unpledge to us. I think I didn't talk to Dan about this, but I'm pretty sure he would stand behind me on it.
Yes.
And if you are facing any kind of financially uncertain times, stay away from our Patreon page and do not super chat us.
I need you guys to understand. We both work regular jobs. Okay. Yeah. That Patreon is for us to justify buying dumb shit specifically for this program and just like subscription-based services and stuff like StreamYard and things like that. Right. Like it's always has meant to be that. And unless we ever were to go pro, okay, like, we appreciate everything that comes in. So,
yeah.
Don't take it. Yeah.
It helps with expenses. And if you can afford it, that's great. And it's fun to have you play along with super chats and stuff. But in all seriousness, if you can't afford it, please don't support us because we are doing okay. So
yes,
I don't want to take anything off of people who can't afford it.
Yes. And I was gonna say you can donate for my wedding. No, just kidding. Don't do that. I need to. We just finished. We've been behind on registry stuff, and we just finally got our registry up like this last weekend, and the wedding's in like 3 weeks. So shout outs to the folks coming to my wedding. Which, by the way, I will be out for like a few weeks when that happens. So I don't know what the game plan is, but we gotta figure that out at some point.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah. I will not make an appearance because I will be in Japan. So I don't know what the time difference is, but it's probably pretty crazy. Regardless of that. So I wish you would have warned me that Brad was going to talk about drinking. I would have pulled up a cold one. Okay. I would have. I'm not prepared tonight. My bachelor party is actually starting tomorrow. So I was going to wait to
go up and get one.
Yeah, but I'm already drinking this weekend. It's like, I gotta.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be a lot, right? But maybe I should. I don't know. It purely depends on Brad's vibes tonight. Okay, we'll see. We'll see if he convinces me, and maybe it'll happen. But
so if Brad's anti-drinking, you'll go get a drink. If Brad's pro-drinking,
it depends on how much Brad is pissing me off. I think.
Well, see, considering how long it takes Brad to get to the point, you're not going to know his stance on this for quite a while.
Yeah. Okay.
From this.
All right. All right, we'll see.
All
We'll
right.
see how it
So,
goes.
also another thing I'll throw out there. I'm working on a video about God's Not Dead 5. That movie is just more of a toilet than I even thought it would be in terms of just like sheer Christian nationalism and Trump apologetics and stuff like that. We might talk about that on the show at some point. We'll see. I think that would be just a delight to roast. So look for that on my main channel. Maybe look for that here at some point if I can twist Dan's arm into talking about God's Not Dead 5, which I might be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. I have to finish the quadrilogy. Wait, what do you call it when it's 5? Pentilogy? I don't know. Whatever it is at that point. I've only seen 4 now. So, I haven't seen 5.
We just call it too many in this context.
Yeah, I guess so.
Team ONB Formula One Dog Racing said, just have Baggy and Bingo
Yeah.
host while Dan's gone.
Yeah, of course. It's just Zod with 2 puppets by himself. That'd be awesome. Or
Speaking of dog racing, I don't know if you're actually a dog racer, but they're starting the big dog race
What?
tomorrow, I think.
Oh, you mean the
Iditarod.
sled racing. I
Yeah.
thought you meant like I thought this was a Michael Vick situation and you were like having dogs do some heinous shit.
No. They run. I don't know exactly how I feel about that. Dogs really enjoy it. I used to have a dog team and they're like never more excited when they get to run, but I'm not sure if it's overall the most humane situation. But one of my kids is singing at the opening, at the ceremonial opening, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Well,
she was also in the finals for the Great Alaska Talent Competition. She's actually quite a good singer.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right?
All right. Shout outs. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she pulled off Whitney Houston a few years ago and did it very, very well. And now she's doing the song from The Greatest Showman.
Okay. Well, she's gonna have to come against me and my Whitney Houston. Okay. So let's see if she can top that.
I have a feeling you sing like Brad Stine writes.
Probably. Oh man, there's nothing more that I want now than a Brad Stine Christmas album. Can you imagine?
Oh, geez.
That's gotta be something. Anyway, I need some wisdom.
Speaking of Brad Stine, yeah, should we get into the book?
Yeah, I need some teachings from the great prophet. So let's hear it.
So this chapter, we're on chapter 3,
okay,
or Assumed Truth 3. This one's titled Be Not Drunk with Grape Juice. Assumed Truth 3, Drinking and Smoking Are Sins.
Oh, okay. All right. So he's getting into some hot territory here. I'd be great if he talks about weed. He's not going to, though, right? Yeah, he must be talking about cigarettes. No spoilers,
Probably,
huh?
yeah. He hasn't spoken to weed directly, but
okay.
I don't think he's a pro weed fella. It doesn't strike me like that. Now, remember, when he says assumed truth, drinking and smoking are sins, that means he's saying that it's stupid when Christians say drinking and smoking are sins.
Right.
So we had a little confusion about that last time.
I need Stein to give the libertarian argument of, it's a natural plant, right? Well, I mean, it's parts of God's creation. I want to hear that side of Brad Stine defending weed, but I know it's not going to happen.
Outside the building where our work used to be, there were these people who would have all kinds of signs, like big poster boards and stuff, and it'd say like God gave us every weed from the ground or every herb from the ground. Like that.
It's good stuff.
Shiver said something that it just feels right, even though I don't think it's probably technically true. Stein is more of a cocaine person.
100% has done cocaine. Yeah, I believe it. You're in comedy. You're traveling. You meet some people. It has to be.
Between the suit and the behavior and the general twitchiness, I don't honestly think he's done cocaine, but he has that vibe about him for sure.
He may have tried it, but
all right,
maybe that's in the next book he writes, his tell-all.
So this chapter starts. I'm gonna read more of the beginning straight through, just to give you the flavor of his comedy routine and stuff like that.
Yep. Lay it on me.
And remember, as I read these first few pages, this chapter is about whether Christians should drink. So
okay, yep,
that's called foreshadowing. Humans are obsessed with their looks. In every culture, in every tribe, from the heart of New York City to the most remote village on Earth, no matter how harsh the environment or how technologically advanced we are, The one thing we have in common is we have a face. Exclamation point, by the way. And if we have a
Unless you're like a Harlequin baby, like I don't know. I there's some situations where you might not actually have a face, right?
there's
Like
that character on Dick Tracy.
sure, Doctor Doom, and you know that's doesn't
Well,
have a
you
face
still
to
have
me.
a face of the sort. But
Well,
anyway,
he has the mask because like his face is all messed up. But I don't know.
yes, his face is all messed up, meaning he has a face.
I
What's
guess
messed up if he doesn't have a face?
fine.
So I'm sorry, you have to concede this one to Brad Stine.
You're turning into Brad Stine. There, why?
Well,
It's
actually,
messed up because he's got a face. All the monsters. Start going ranting about monsters again. We'll love to have
And if-
that again.
oh, yeah. And if we have a face, one thing for sure is somebody else is probably looking at it. And if it's being looked at, we want it to look good. Not just good, but better looking than another face you might happen to come across. In order to accomplish this crucial task, humans have always made it a practice to do something, anything to draw attention to themselves. In the beginning, it was a much simpler life. Look at Adam and Eve. They didn't wear the hottest trending clothes because they didn't have clothes at all! Exclamation point.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
god.
got the fire going.
Yeah,
Here.
we gotta get the fire going because yeah, there we go. Okay.
See, Dan, like
Mhm.
Brad Stine is saying, he's always worried about his face, and so he wants to make our faces smaller so people can't see them so much. He made his
Yeah.
face disappear before you guys got here too.
Yeah, I was fucking with some green screen stuff. I could have just made myself completely disappear or accidentally do blackface.
Oh
As
gosh.
it's very easy to do if you're fucking around with chroma key settings on
Brad
OBS.
Stine
But
would
anyway,
never. Brad Stine would be appalled.
There's 100% a picture out there. It may not be digital. It may be a photograph of Brad Stine in blackface. It has to exist.
We will not quite get to that level of offensive in this chapter.
Okay, all right. You were scaring me for a second. I was like, "Are we about to talk about Brad Stine's blackface story and how blackface is a right and is freedom of speech?" Because I could see that. I could see that.
Whereas Waldo says, "This sounds like a C- fifth grade writing assignment."
Oh yeah, we're not to a great start. Like we've been talking for like 5 minutes and we're like 3 sentences in, so it's not great.
They weren't caught up with this obsession to appear hip. No tailored
no shit.
suits.
God, that's so dumb. Yeah, there's only 2 fucking people in the story, Brad. Of course, yeah.
But also, it's not just because there are only 2 people. You got to hear what he's saying here.
Okay.
No
all
tailored suits, no highlighted hair, no makeup, no high heels, no sexy lingerie. Those words I did not want to hear from Brad Stine.
Yeah. So
they just go ahead.
no, it's just Brad Stine has to make fun of people who modify their looks because Brad Stine doesn't give a fuck about his appearance and like doesn't actually do anything for himself, which is like it's fine if you want to live your life that way, but it's like don't shit on other people that want to look hot. Like that's, you know.
He expresses a certain self-consciousness about his appearance in this book.
Okay.
But not in a way you'd expect, and it gets bad.
All right. Okay.
But speaking of things you don't want to hear Brad Stine talk about, no, they just went with your basic naked.
Oh,
A
God,
decision,
okay.
I might add, that works fine with me.
This is like this is like dad humor, but like not even like good dad humor. It's bad dad
Pervy
humor.
dad humor.
Yeah, weirdo dad, like the uncle you don't invite to the family barbecue kind of humor. Like that's what's going on right now.
And if he's there, you stick close to your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
A decision, I might add, that works fine with me. You give me a choice between a woman in the hottest fashion, the latest coiffure, sorry, I don't know that, and the trendiest eyeshadow, and a woman in basic nude, and I'm pretty much going in that direction. Eh? Hey, guys.
Oh my God. Gross.
He didn't say that last part, but that was...
Get this. Yeah. Okay.
After all, I'm a guy. I'm a Christian guy, but I have a news flash for those of you who aren't aware. Christian men prefer naked as well as the next guy.
Yeah. It's really
To
cool,
say
Brad.
anything different would be inauthentic, which you know is not the purpose of this book.
Yeah,
I think
so I mean, God.
I think Biddy's
I'm-
putting it perfectly.
yeah, it's just like mm, uh what was it
Fletcher's one
about?
eye. Brad Stine has the not gaze.
Yeah, so obviously, ignoring the existence of LGBT people, right? But like, what is it about every dude in this time period constantly talking about how much they want to have sex with women? It's just something about the media from this time that oozes this. I don't know what it is, but Brad Stine is definitely being emblematic of that. I don't know. Oh,
It
very
does.
weird.
I never thought of it that way, but it does come off a little as the not gaze. Hey, you know what I really like is naked women. I like looking
Love
at them.
fucking women, dude. Yeah. I love watching football and looking at naked women, man. Yeah, that's it. I'm just a guy, like, all right, man.
Erica says,
Fucking
as a woman, I
basic,
feel
but
like I should be offended. I'm just not sure how.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
I don't know.
trust me,
Yeah.
by the end of this chapter, you'll know how you should be offended on certain things.
Oh, great. Good.
To say
Looking forward
anything
to it.
different would be inauthentic, which you know is not the perfect purpose of this book.
Hmm. Yeah.
Naked is good! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! So that one got 2. Naked is
Oh,
good.
oh, where are we going? Somebody get me out of this roller coaster. I don't want to be on this ride wherever we're going, Zod. This is not
It's
good.
it's gonna get weirder. It
Oh,
has to be. God invented it! Exclamation point. The only
it has to
differentiation
be. God invented it. I can see him saying it too.
yeah. The only differentiation between a pagan and me is the context. Everything I choose must be in
All
the
right, that's kind of
context.
funny.
Yeah. Everything I choose must be in context with the way God made the rules. That's why it was good in Eden. It was in the context of God's will. This was husband and wife alone in paradise. Okay. Well, not completely alone. God was there. He walked with them, and you'll notice he never averted his eyes. That's because he made the nakedness beautiful.
Yeah, God was looking directly at the penis, is what he's saying. Like just staring right at the bush, Super into it, I think.
Does that
Yeah.
sound weirdly like he's almost saying God was turned on?
No, yeah, he's saying God's a pervert. Like he's saying God is like, I made these people naked and I can look at them as much as I want. Like that's okay. Like
He's saying it like it's just beautiful in a general aesthetic way, but considering that we're supposed to find that human bodies are supposed to be beautiful in a way that can bleed into being sexually attractive, that is a weird comment about God. I'm sorry.
no, it's literally the most objectifying thing. It's like I made you, you are an object of my creation, and now he gets to look at us. Like it doesn't get much
Yeah.
worse than that, really. I don't know. Very strange.
Oh boy.
I'm
After
very
the fall,
uncomfortable by this. I hope we move on. It's pretty soon.
after the fall, that all came crashing down. God had to cover them as a reminder of their shame and fallen state. As well, I suppose, the fact that it was going to get chilly now.
Wait, did God have to cover them though? Because they made clothes themselves. I don't know. I guess.
He'll
Well,
get into the technicality. He's thought through the
okay.
logistics here.
Okay. I have to trust.
But it's weird. God had to cover them as a reminder of their shame. I thought at first that actually being naked was shameful, but then it sounds like he's saying like it's supposed to be a symbol of how fallen they are. But then in the Bible
Mm.
the Bible does say that being naked, they saw nakedness as being wrong somehow, right? They recognized they're naked because they knew good from evil and had to cover it up.
Well, I think the verbiage I was used to is they felt shame. They were ashamed, right? So I don't
Yeah,
know.
but it doesn't take much of a leap to go from like as soon as they recognized good from evil, they saw that they were naked and realized they had to cover it. I don't know if that means that I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just a metaphor for loss of innocence, right? But I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm talking about if you try to take it too literally, like Brad.
Sure.
Anyway, okay. So it's going to get chilly now. That's the other problem.
Right. Oh yeah. Oof.
And this might go where you're thinking it might go, but and the environment wasn't perfectly
I wasn't thinking that, Zon, and now I am. Come on, man.
The environment wasn't perfectly regulated anymore. And everyone knows a cool breeze blowing on a naked person has never been conducive to looking glamorous. Let's be honest, in cold weather, neither sex looks particularly attractive naked. Although, if the truth be told, cold weather does seem to do a lot more damage to the ego of the naked man. He did a shrinkage joke.
Yeah, a penis. Oh my fuck! Like, again, like, who is this book for? I just don't know. Like, just weirdo pervert uncles. This is just for them, I guess. They'll be like, haha, that's funny. That Brad Stine guy, he gets. I get a kick out of him. You know.
Of all the things I expected to see in Brad Stine's Christian comedy book, a shrinkage joke was not on the list, I have to admit.
Yeah, just yeesh. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's keep going.
When Adam and Eve first realized their predicament, they tried to cover themselves by using leaves. Leaves! Exclamation point.
I can't.
Leaves!
Stop. It's so bad.
Apparently, common sense was another attribute that took a dive after the fall. I'm sure it drove home a whole new awareness of their body's unique designs when they sat for the first time in their shrubbery underpants! Exclamation point. God, who always seems to be one step ahead of us when it comes to this type of thing, immediately used fur to protect them from their new environment and to keep warm.
Okay. Again, I don't know. It's veering between like creepy uncle and like children's book. Like, it's just very strange. I don't like it. This is the most uncomfortable I've been so far.
and he also has this way of like, he's trying to be funny and be this like, edgy comedian and be a little bit irreverent. And he approaches that with a Bible to a point that almost sounds like he's making fun of the Bible.
Right.
Like it seems like he's teasing Adam and Eve, but in a way it sounds like he does this a lot in these. It sounds like he's actually making fun of the logic of the story. That's how I would read it if it was coming from an atheist YouTuber or something.
Right. That's a weird thing about Brad. He does the edgy humor, but he's still a Christian comic. So he really tries to blend that, and it just goes to a weird place. Like, it's almost too edgy for regular Christian stuff, but not edgy enough to like be actually edgy. It's just like edgy for Christian standards, right? Like, I don't know. It's very weird.
It's just a little further than a cool youth pastor trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
That you even
But
most
not
youth
like
pastors
South
would know
Park.
that that's creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird in between.
Fletcher from I has a good point. I thought we were going to talk about alcohol.
Yeah, I was wondering this too. Like, I know you said he was going to talk about this for a minute, but yeah, no mention of alcohol or anything yet. So,
yeah. That, by the way, is why we wore fur in the first place. Not to look chic, but for a more practical purpose. All caps. We were cold. We needed fur.
I might need that fucking drink. So I don't know. It's getting there, but I need to hold off. I need to hold
strong. He'll push you over the edge here soon.
Oh God.
We don't possess it ourselves. Thankfully, God had the insight to create little fur making factories known as animals, which I'm sure you as a vegan appreciate.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's also non-fur. Like, when's the last time you were wearing fucking fur, Brad? Like, most people don't wear like animal furs every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Strange.
Also, like the whole point, I think that was a result of the fall. So again, I'm reading into the story and in his interpretation of it, but this still shows him like raging into every part of this, including the Bible, with this weird blunt approach that comes off as a little irreverent or just not understanding the story. Like, obviously, the story's not implying that God made animals to produce fur. That, I don't know. That was like a post-fall thing, apparently, or something. But who knows?
I've heard a lot. I've heard things like, oh, the animal had to be killed to make a fur for Adam and Eve, and that was an example of the sacrifice that had to
Yeah.
be made. There's that kind of stuff too.
There's
But
all kinds of ways people make sense of it. But what's that? Brad says, not that's a real problem for me. It just doesn't align with any of it. It doesn't make any sense with the logic of the story.
No.
And
no.
it's just a weird choice if you're writing a Christian book. That's all I'll say about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Now we're about to take a little turn here. Fur became a necessity for survival. We couldn't have survived without it. Seems like a superfluous second sentence. I know there are some people in our society who don't like to hear that. I'll talk about them later.
Oh,
But it's a
good.
fact nonetheless.
Oh, great.
You take
Really
the
cool.
furriest guy you ever met, parentheses, if you don't know one, go get your hands on a Middle Eastern fellow.
Holy shit. Whoa. Whoa. What the fuck?
God damn it.
Whoa. I did not expect racism. Like, what the fuck? What? Jesus Christ. That didn't take a hard turn. We just went up to the fucking stratosphere. What the fuck? Zod. Jesus fucking Christ. I at least, God, buy me a drink first before you just fuck me with the racism, why don't you? God damn. Holy shit, that. Well, I'm getting a drink.
You
Right
go
back.
for it. Yeah, that was a lot. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the first of a few turns here that Brad took that was more than I thought it was going to be. The weirdest thing about it is that's just so unnecessary. Like that doesn't serve any purpose for what he was that doesn't serve any purpose for the point he was trying to make. And I don't know. It's just so the fact is it's just so unnecessary. It's like a really I don't know. It's just a problematic stereotype, and it didn't serve any purpose. So it just like rolls right off his tongue, or he just thinks that's so funny that he just needs to share it. I don't know. I don't know how much I should read before Dan gets here. So Timothy Starr, get your hands on a Middle Eastern fellow in a non-gay way. All right.
Sorry about that. Had to do something. That's just it's a lot to take in.
Okay.
I'm ready for you now.
So you ready for the second half of this comment? That was just the first half.
No, hang on.
The second
hang the fuck on.
I wouldn't say the second half's as bad, not even close, but whoa.
Now I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. I have to reread it, not because I liked that line, but there's a second half to this sentence.
Mm-hmm.
You take the furriest guy you've ever met. If you don't know one, go get your hands on a Middle Eastern fellow. Set him next to a yak, and he'll look like the Dalai Lama.
Okay. Well, I mean, that one wasn't as.
That one wasn't nearly as bad, but like,
was it? Yeah. That's just saying the Dalai Lama was bald. I guess that wasn't as tasteless.
No, it was nowhere in the neighborhood, but like,
yeah, like Jesus Christ.
But he said, he makes a comment about Middle Eastern people being hairy. And he's like, you know what this sentence really need is to drag another
Right.
another like religion or nationality into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wow.
Shivers. He wasn't saying that the Dalai Lama is Middle Eastern. He was comparing a hairy Middle Eastern to the bald Dalai Lama. Was the whole point.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. That was just I was so uncalled for on so many levels. I just wasn't expecting it. It was like a shock to my nervous system. Like you know, I live in 2025 in the United Goddamn States of America. Okay, my immune system, I'm prepared for racism. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just see it. You just see that shit. I was not ready for that. That hit me like a something. I don't know. That was really bad. But you know, Brad, something every chapter always manages to surprise me. So
Yeah.
what can I say?
So he talks more about ramifications of the fall and stuff like that. And then humans judging each other by outward appearances. This is Omicron variant racism.
The Omicron variant of racism is fucking good. That is a good one.
Now it's a judgment call, but I'm not so sure that was the worst one in this chapter. By the way, just from my personal judgment,
that's not the worst. I'm sorry, that's not the worst racism we're going to experience.
Not exactly racism, but like I'm not sure whether that was the most offensive thing we're going to see in this chapter.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Well, I'm here for it. So
I think we're past most of the nakedness.
Good. Thank God. Jesus.
Yeah.
That went on for too long.
No one brought up the concept of appearance before being the primary gauge of assessing our value society. He talks about women, and I feel bad for them. They feel they need to buy makeup, blah, blah, blah. Look, ladies, I don't know if you're aware of this. He makes a joke about putting your face on. Look, ladies, I don't know if you're aware of this, but your face has been on from the get-go. Do you really believe no man has ever seen a woman without makeup?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there's women.
He said this. He keeps doing this, like making fun of women that wear makeup and like dress nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just that kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah. And there's more jokes about women putting on makeup, but it's not even worth reading. It's just
okay.
Boring. Now, don't get me wrong. Men can care about their looks too. We just haven't bought into the makeup thing to try to alter our appearances. Men seem to lean more into the elements of their body they believe represent their maleness. Hair, for one instance, is a very important thing to men. Not hair in general, mind you, but the hair on their heads. Why that hair is most important, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. Does Brad know that literally every single man he sees on TV is wearing makeup and in movies and stuff? Do you think he knows that? Or
and then in a lot of cultures, like being heavily made up was a thing for men. It was like we used to be fashionable.
Like, does he just think it's something inherent to the male psyche that men just don't wear makeup or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah. So he carries on about men and hair. He's lucky because he has a head of hair, so he hasn't struggled with that. But I do resonate with a feeling of not being satisfied with my looks because I'll admit I'm short. Not Wizard of Oz short, but short nonetheless.
Not Wizard of Oz. Was the Wizard of Oz particularly short? That's not really the first.
I think he's referring to the fact that there were munchkins played by little people.
Oh, so we get to make fun of little people now. Okay. All right. Well, that's wow. Yeah. Does he not know that the Wizard of Oz, like that movie, was played by real people, right? Like those are real people with real lives, and like their own struggles. I guess not. I guess they're just characters on TV for him. They're one of the monsters in his movies.
We haven't reached the end of this thread yet.
Oh God, son, that's the most terrifying thing you could have told me. Okay, all right, I'm ready.
I am 5'6", which means I am below average, whatever that means in height.
Oh my God, is Brad Stine a short king? I didn't realize that. Okay, all right. Well, there you go.
I have been the victim of the dictates of society, which have decided I am not as desirable as the taller guy.
Oh,
It's even in our
incel
lexicon,
Brad Stine. Incel Brad Stine. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm here for it. Give me the rant.
which decided I'm not as desirable as a taller guy. It's even in our lexicon. Women all dream of tall, dark, and handsome. The opposite implication being apparently those who are short, pale, and plain might as well give up. Now that look might fly if I were Amish, but it apparently is not going to get me on the cover of GQ.
Uh, I, I don't think Brad Stine knows what the word lexicon means. First of all, I don't think that was the appropriate usage. But yeah, let's just knock one on the Amish. You know, why not? In this
Yeah.
menagerie of insults, I guess.
Let's try to write a list of everybody who doesn't catch strays in this chapter.
Yeah, really. If people are gonna catch strays, I don't know, at least be funny about it. God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Short King Brad Stine did not anticipate that. But it makes a lot of sense in retrospect, I think.
Yeah.
Hmm, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Here's
what do we're the tallest atheist stream out there,
That's
as
true.
has been
Yeah.
pointed out. So I guess I feel obliged to comment on it because we're
We're,
okay. Listen, we're not short dudes. We
one of
don't
the
have
three
that
things.
experience. What's that?
What's that? We're at least
I'm,
one of the three things.
yeah, it's like people complain. I've literally never had the problem of the height thing. So it's hard for me to relate. You know, I get it though. It's true. It's true. People do say it's a thing. It matters, and that's why I'm always repping my short kings. But I don't know, Brad Stine.
Yeah.
It it's
So
not great.
I don't want to play this down. I feel like I have a lot of advantages in life. Number one, being
Hmm.
my skin color, my gender,
Yeah,
also just how tall I am is part of that. I think that does affect how people look at you.
it does. It does. It does.
And so I don't want to play that down. But Brad's gonna play it up just a bit here
What
in a
That's
way
the
that you
thing. Brad Stine has no problem making fun of other people for their physical appearances. So I don't know why he gets to complain about not being in the genetic lottery, right? And getting what he
yeah.
wants. So I don't know.
So speaking of that, if you think of somebody with the political inclinations of Brad Stine,
Hmm.
who's identified himself of having some genetic or visual disadvantage, where would you think he would go with that?
Um, that's a loaded question. What do you mean? Where do I think you would go with that, Zod?
Timo and B said, "How tall is Zod?" I'm 6'3". Dan's, I think, a couple inches taller than me, right?
I'm 6'5". Yeah.
Yeah.
So I it's real. Like when when I was a single man and a woman said that they like dating tall guys, honestly kind of a turn off for me. Because I'm really tall, so I can make that decision whether people want to be with me. And I just think that it's cool when girls date shorter guys. And I don't know. There's a lot to be said about that. But the point is, again, I just think it's funny that Brad Stine, of all people, talking about this, and I guess is going to talk about it more when he is like made fun of all kinds of people for the way that they look. So I don't know. He's an
Alex
open target as
O'Connor
far
is
as I'm concerned.
6 foot. I don't.
Yeah, he's very tall. He's a tall guy.
I thought he was kind of short, but
We met him in real life.
Yeah, he might have grown since I saw him, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while. He was only 18, I think, when I saw him.
Yeah, that's true. He was younger then.
But anyway, I didn't think he was short like Brad Stine short, but it wasn't necessarily tall. Anyway,
Yep.
let's see. Oh, okay. Here's where he takes it.
Okay.
Remember,
Okay.
he talks about how he's not the tall, dark, and handsome one. Blah blah blah. He doesn't have that advantage. It also gives me a minority status only short people understand. Anyone who has been a minority in some way knows you have to work harder to be seen as equally valuable. So
Shut
I too
the
am a
fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No shot. You made that up. That is
Nope,
not in the fucking book.
it is in
Read,
the book.
read that shit again. Read that shit again, Zod.
It's right here highlighted. I don't know if
Say,
people will be able to see it.
say it for the goddamn people in the back. Say that shit
Okay.
again one more time,
I put
please.
it on screen, and I'll read it again so that you can tell I'm going to say the exact same word, so I couldn't have made it up. And this is on page 38 if you can find the book for yourself. But this is exactly, I actually saw this coming, and as soon as we talked about being short,
That can't be
it
real.
also gives me a minority status only short people understand. Anybody who has been a minority in some way knows you have to work harder to be seen as equally valuable. You're right there, Dan.
That is so fucking funny, dude. That is the funniest thing. That is so funny. Oh my god. Oh, once again, Brad Stine being funny at the exact moment when he doesn't mean to be. What do you think? What do you think Brad was doing when Black Lives Matters was at his peak? What do you think he was saying and was posted? Something tells me, something tells me he wasn't on the side that you
Yeah,
would hope he would be. You know what I mean? Like, come on, that's so
Brad,
funny.
Brad, because you're only 5'6", have you, whenever you get pulled over by the police, do you keep your hands extra hard on the steering wheel hoping you don't get shot? Brad, is that something you've experienced?
He did. He said short lives matter. It's true. He's about that life. Oh my god. Oh, dude, incel Brad Sign was not on my bingo card for today, okay? But I'm loving this arc. I want to see where it goes. I want to see the full completion here, okay? Please. Please.
Steve Weber,
Okay.
since he is short, this book needs to be long-winded.
Yeah, really. That's so
Okay.
awesome.
So if he didn't, and actually I saw this coming. As soon as he talked about how he's short and people look at him differently, I'm like, okay, I used to be a conservative. I know exactly where this is headed.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
But he hasn't finished getting on the nose yet with this.
Okay.
Now, unnecessary comma, I get to make a choice as to how I'm going to respond to this curse. I can play the victim or I can appreciate the challenge this sets before me. For example, I have
Okay.
always been forced to work harder than the next guy. Maybe that's a good thing. When you aren't given the obvious attributes of beautiful people, you learn how to adapt and fight. So
Okay.
this
Yeah.
to me has very strong Black people just need to work a little harder energy to it, doesn't it?
Dude,
Like
it's in there. It's in there. It's in there. It's in there. It's baked into that ideology. Yeah, absolutely.
he
Has
he
to be.
he's pretty much coming out and saying it. That's the way I read this,
It's
especially
like I had to work hard for my things. Why can't they work as hard? That is the implication. 100%. Yeah, we're on the same page.
yeah. You
Oh
have your
man.
challenges. You're a minority in a certain way. I'm a minority a certain way. I decided just to work harder
Uh,
instead of playing the victim. That what else does
uh,
the phrase playing the victim mean in that situation?
which
You
is
know what he's
so
getting at.
funny because like I literally read a transcript of him on Fox News, like just bitching about how nobody in Hollywood would accept him because he's a Christian comedian. Like, you know, he obviously plays the victim, like whenever it feeds
That's
his
a good
narrative.
point.
Like, you know, it's just marketing for him. Well, it's ridiculous.
Oh, really says, as a lefty, I feel oppressed. There you go. I'm left-handed too, so hey, I'm
Yeah.
oppressed.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
there's one big advantage as left-handed people have is you can use the arrows with your right hand and the mouse with your left hand. Ooh yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, there you go.
Society accidentally gave us one thing, so
I got a WASD, so I'm good. You know, that's all I
yeah,
need.
that's true. When my son sets up like keyboard configurations, I guess it's harder. So I am still, you know, as somebody who has dealt with not being able to use a WASD keyboard configuration and all the shortcuts that go right underneath that, I feel that I can play the victim or I can appreciate the challenge this sets before me.
Yeah, it makes you work harder, doesn't it? It makes you work
Yeah, it really
harder at
does.
life. Yeah,
And I
I
feel
can
like
see
because of that, I'm a better person.
that. Yeah, yeah. Better
Okay.
than other people in some ways.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that there.
So blah blah blah. If you try, I'm going to skip over a little bit of this. If you try to stand up for yourself as a short guy, it's not seen as noble. It's referred to as disease. It's called the Napoleon complex. The theory is if you're short, you feel inferior and try to make up for it by being overly aggressive. The problem with that theory is short people are treated with less respect and have to do something to be seen as equal. You got a problem with that? All caps, 3 exclamation points.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, he is on that shit. He is on that shit 100%. Hook, line, and sinker. Wow. Sad.
How would you like it if society defined your behavior not with a stand for dignity, but as a sickness? You ever heard of the Goliath complex? Of course not. Everybody assumes tall people have it together. You could be the biggest dork in the world, but if you're tall, people assume you're probably some super athlete. You hear the same tired
I don't think that's true, but okay.
you hear the same tired cliches. You're so tall. Do you play basketball? What are you going to say to the short guy? You're short. Are you a jockey? You see? I don't know.
Yeah, again, this is like a dumb bullshit. And also, I was an awkward dude when I was like a teenager, like you still have to have social skills. Okay. It's not all just about height, man. That's an incel mindset right there. I'm learning some things
Yeah.
about Brad tonight. So that's
Okay.
interesting.
Now, I want to make it clear here when I read this next part. I am just quoting exactly what he put on the stage. I don't on the page. I don't
Oh, no.
necessarily approve of every
Oh, no.
thing I'm going
That
on.
might be the next scariest thing you've said tonight, but okay. All right.
Okay. So anyway, blah blah blah. If you're tall, they ask you're a basketball player. If they're short, you ask you're a jockey. Ironically, I had 2 short guys of the clinical variety complain to me for using the word midget on one of my albums years ago.
I can't breathe. he, he, he put that in the fucking book. What the fuck? Are you fucking
No.
fucking with me right now? What the fuck?
You know me when I say that as a joke if he hadn't actually said it.
What the fuck? Oh, God. I wasn't ready, dude. I wasn't ready. Holy fuck. Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Oh. Oh. Okay, you gotta finish that because where the fuck is he going with that? Okay, what's up with that? Clinically short?
Yeah, two short guys of the clinical variety. One thing I did
Variety.
not one thing I did not see coming in this book was him saying people complain just because I used a commonly understood slur. Like, all right.
Yeah, like oh, God damn it.
They went and complained just because I called them.
Jesus fuck, dude. All right. Oh, okay. Does he have anything more to say about that story? Or is that just a passing
He
comment?
explains himself. Would you like to hear him explain himself?
Yeah, I fucking would. I fucking would like to hear that actually.
I never realized the word was degrading as I used it in the dictionary context.
God. Okay, breathe. We're gonna get through this. Okay, please,
Now,
please
this
continue.
next part, there's nothing. I don't know if I'd say there's anything overtly bad, but it's just puzzling.
Okay.
Um, I asked this brother. I don't know why he called him this brother. I asked
Okay.
this brother what he would prefer I call him by, and he said they go by little people.
Yes.
Now, growing up short, anyone calling me a little person is about to experience a headbutt to the groin, which is about where my head comes up to on a normal heighted guy, which
Okay.
characterizes the issue of content over context I will elaborate on in another chapter.
Okay.
And I
All
am
right.
absolutely damn sure he will elaborate
Yeah,
on
I'm sure
that.
he fucking will. I'm sure he's gonna give a fucking thesis on the
I'm sure he
history.
I'm sure he has a lot to say
Oh my
about,
God.
a certain word is only offensive because of the context.
Yeah, Jesus. Oh, I'm sure he will. Okay. Does he finish at least this explanation here? Or is he just
This has very heavy, and I've had a family member say this, from the South. This has very heavy, the N word actually has a certain etymology that,
Yes, exactly. No, it definitely does. I have a lot to say about this, but I want to finish this paragraph that he has, you know, at least let him say his piece, how as dumb
Okay,
as
his
it
last
is.
sentence in this paragraph is, "One man's honor is another man's insult." So,
Okay. So
yeah.
like let me tell you something. So on the real, okay. I'm not friends. I'm not really I don't talk to this person as much anymore, but I used to be really good friends with a little person. And
Mhm.
when we would hang out together, people would make jokes and say shit like, "Oh, it's like David and Goliath and stuff," right? And let me tell
Right.
you something. This person, you Brad, you're not watching this. You don't know a single fucking thing about their fucking lives. They're real human fucking beings. And you will never have the hardships that a little person has. So go
Yeah.
fucking fuck yourself, you fucking asshole. You can't call people by the words that they choose by just because, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know. So learn to be a better person. That's all you have to do at the end of the day. Don't fucking whine about it in your fucking book that, oh, I didn't know because words change and I would have been offended by it. Yeah, nobody, first of all, nobody gives a fuck what you think. Okay. Second of all, just be a respectful ass person. Like, goddamn, what a fucking ass. Like, I cannot believe he put this in the book. That's so shitty.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Ah,
If you say something like that and somebody tells you that it's offensive, apologize and say, "Okay," and maybe look into it later. You don't need to start arguing about, "Well, actually, I was using it in the dictionary context," and then tell the
yeah.
story and
Yeah. It's like,
and then
yeah,
just talk about characterize it as the person was complaining, but I was just using I
yeah,
don't know.
it's like, yeah, imagine this being about I used to call black people, the N-word, but then somebody said it was offensive, and then I was just using it to describe this kind of person. Like it
No,
is
no.
that same level of shit, right? Like
Not somebody said it was offensive. You have to put it the Brad Stine way. Somebody complained.
somebody complained about it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody complained about it. Yeah, okay. So that's okay. So he's saying, "Oh, I would have been mad if somebody called me a little person." Would you have been mad if somebody called you a midget, Brad? Would you have been mad about that too? Like, it's not a
Yeah,
good
exactly.
term. Like, what are you talking about? You think that was being respectful by using that term? Like, what?
And then he immediately tries to use this phony self-deprecating, my head comes up to someone's groin because I'm so short. Like it's almost like he's trying to capture it's okay for me to say it because I'm one of them type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yo,
you're
you're
not.
right.
I'm
Oh, you're
sorry.
so right. You're so right. He's trying to get like short guy credibility by thinking that
Yeah.
his life is the same as someone who's literally like a little person. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He is trying to do
It's not
that.
bad because it's our word.
Right, exactly. Oh my God. God, you're so right. Like when people, in real life, and I know you've had this too, right? People make jokes about you being tall and stuff. And it's like, yeah, whatever. Cause like, yeah, you do have certain advantages of being tall. Absolutely. So like, you just kind of laugh it off. And that's why when you're a tall person, you also realize people do sometimes treat you differently. And hopefully, if you're not a fucking egomaniac, like, you recognize that that can be a sensitive subject for people. But to Brad, it's just like, no, somebody, I was just trying to be funny, and I was just trying to, speak my piece, but somebody didn't like the fact that I used a word that was really offensive to them. And so I have to be the victim here. Somebody else has to be the whiner or complainer, even though he's the one that's literally complaining about it in the book. That's so fucking funny. Oh my God. Jesus.
And I'm sorry,
Even little people can't get a fucking break. God damn.
Being 5'6" is nowhere in the neighborhood of being a little person in terms of how people receive you.
Like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, but
yeah.
Whatever. Stupid.
So I'm going to skip ahead. He talks about more about how people try to do different things for their appearance. With men, cologne is another thing. And why do we like certain scents? I would rather smell like a hot dog or a new car than musk. Or, so
yeah.
cologne jokes.
Why take pride in your personal appearance, guys? Let's just everybody. Why not all look like slobs like Brad fucking Stine? Then the world would be a better place for him, at least. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. What
Got a super chat from Erica. Brad is literally punching down.
Yeah, seriously.
But he's not, because he's short. Everywhere he punches is
he's
up.
short too, guys. Yeah, he's had short people problems, which I'm not saying there aren't disadvantages to being a shorter than average man. It's just it's not the same thing as being a fucking little person. Like, what are you insane? Like, that is crazy. Oh my God. Anyway.
It doesn't put you in the same position as a little person, and it doesn't make you the equivalent of a minority in terms of the challenges you face and how you have to like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work harder. Sorry, Brad, you don't get to co-opt that.
Yeah,
and it looks shitty when you try.
Jesus.
Okay, so smell like a man, blah blah blah. Anyway, if we understand that humans in the U.S. put undue emphasis on their looks, so far he's just talked about people's appearances, right? We're at page 40. We started on page 37, and all we've talked about is people's appearances. So when he's really bad at transitioning, and when you see an anyway, I circle it when I see an anyway, because he's about to just do a clumsy transition.
Oh my
God! He doesn't. He just spent about 7 pages talking about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with what his chapter's about, and just being crassly unnecessarily offensive.
Jesus,
so anyway, if we understand humans in the US put undue emphasis on their looks, then what is a follower supposed to appear like? This has become one of those precarious traps US Christians have fallen into. So speaking of looks, which I just spent 7 pages talking about, Christians have to worry about what they look like, blah, blah, blah. So much emphasis is put on what a genuine Christian is supposed to look like. It's become more important than who we actually are, blah, blah, blah.
Since when?
If you drove a car, it had to have a fish on it, which I don't think is necessarily true.
No, that's never been a thing.
Yeah. I remember driving through Illinois once, and someone passed me at 90 miles an hour with a big vanity plate saying something like, "I'm for Jesus." Now I know they were going 90 because I was going 80, and they blew me away! Exclamation point. Ha ha ha.
Wow. Yeah, it's great.
Of course, I was in a rental which had no fish on it, so I was exempt. Okay, cool. Whatever.
All right, cool. Cool. You're mad about somebody else's license plate. God, your life must be so easy to be Brad. You just get to complain about other people's license plates on the highway. Like, your life must be so good if that's what's on your mind,
By the way, notice he just segued, and we're still not talking about alcohol.
Yeah, what the fuck? Where is that coming in? I just downed a whole shot for fucking nothing so far. Come on, Brad.
Okay, so now he does another transition. What does that? What does any of that have to do with who we are as Christians? And I would add, what does any of that have to do with drinking?
Yeah, really.
So much of what we as American Christians have come to associate with truth is actually cultural tradition. Once again, we trade honesty for appearance. For example, Southern Baptists have long been known for their stand against drinking, smoking, and dancing. So finally, here we go.
Okay, now we get to
Being
shit on
being a
a
com-
Christian minority. This is the meat of it, I guess.
being a comedian, I can also vouch for the fact that many of them are against laughing, and so he has to get that one in there.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, it gets a little bit boring, some of this, when he actually talks about the topic, because really, what are you going to say about whether drinking or smoking is a sin? Because we still have close to
Well, does he think
how
it's a
about
sin? Let me guess. He's not going to be clear about it, right?
he'll be clear-ish,
Okay,
but
okay,
he's going to waffle like crazy because he's just a
okay, yeah,
slippery little fucker.
right, yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like when we talked about the whole evolution creation thing, and you can't really take a stand. And it was something he talked about that was like that. Now, one could argue that at least two of these behaviors, drinking and smoking, can be very dangerous and unhealthy, whereas dancing, when attempted by some Baptists I've met, is only dangerous to those of us watching. Ha ha ha. Okay.
Okay, yep.
But honest Christians from whatever denominations should ask themselves, are these actually sins? So,
Okay,
that is legitimately the question, but this highlights something a little stupid about Christianity, or a little problematic about any religious approach, which again, the question should be, is it unhealthy or does it hurt anybody? Not, does it get labeled as sin? That's kind of I don't know. To
yeah,
me, that those kinds of questions show just how irrelevant
right. These are the questions that we're thinking about, not like, how do we, change? How do we change our structural um, forces in society that perpetuate racism, or how do we, make the world more able to change to more sustainable energy sources? It's just like, is this a sin or not? It's like this is
yeah.
the common thing with Christianity. It's not actually solving any real issues. It's just the same old shit that they haven't figured out for 2,000 years.
Maybe, Brad, if you actually just showed that the question of whether something's sinful is separate from the question of whether it's harmful, you've just come out and told us that sin is an irrelevant concept. So that's something to
Yeah,
think about. Chew on that, Brad, if you're watching.
yeah, seriously.
Equally
Uh,
important is, if someone chooses to engage in them, can they really be Christians? And have you ever heard that
mm.
topic, or that
If they
question
drink, are
posed?
they really
Yeah.
Christians and stuff? Yeah, of course. I mean,
Okay. That was a big thing when I was younger. I didn't know if that was still a thing. But when I was younger, that actually, can you actually be a Christian, or if you drink or smoke?
right.
Um, I chose these two habits not because I want people to engage in them, but because they are controversial and provide an example that can help us decide what template we should use when examining others' lifestyle choices, or
Okay.
indulgences. Sorry.
Okay.
So he goes through some examples. Charles Spurgeon is a Baptist icon, but he talks about him for a while and says, every Baptist uses him as an example, blah, blah, blah. But Charles Spurgeon, in all caps, smoked cigars,
Wow.
sometimes while preaching.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so he talks more
Wow.
about that. Someone asked if he smoked in moderation, and he answered yes, because I only smoke one at a time, or something like that. I don't know. And then he says that might have been Mark Twain. Who cares?
Okay. Oh,
Maintaining our health certainly is a noble and perhaps even godly pursuit. But before we get self-righteous in our condemnation, remember the Bible says nothing against smoking.
okay.
Cool,
So we
fine,
answered
whatever.
that, I guess. You can smoke and be a Christian, right?
Yeah. So
All right.
it's just this mess of, is it actually harmful and problematic? Does the Bible say it's sinful? And then there's this middle ground where a lot of people, you know, they come up with these lines of reasoning. Well, the Bible says you're the temple of the Holy Spirit. You're supposed to take care of the temple. Smoking is blah blah blah. Uh,
Yeah. So
Basically,
his
come up
main
with an argument.
argument, or one of his big cases, is this guy was a Christian and a lot of people liked him and he smoked. That's where that argument
Yeah,
was. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
He'll
Cool, I
basically make the
guess.
same argument. He'll basically make the same argument again here in just a minute, because it was
Oh,
so
great.
profound. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
I can't make this point. Oh, he actually talks about overeating.
Oh God.
I can't make this point more seriously. I know many pastors who don't drink or smoke yet have serious weight problems. If you're going to use the "your body is a temple" line to prove your case against bad habits or drinking, then you better take a good long look in the mirror. Some temples have extra rooms added that weren't in the original architecture.
Uh,
So I guess let's just throw fat shaming in
Let's
there,
fat
right?
shame some people while we're at it. Throw that on top of the pile. I mean, like, God, I'm not gonna fucking level with Brad on that. That's just he's just a cruel man, and he's
Yeah.
enacting he's an short, angry, cruel man who needs an outlet for his frustration, and he chooses to do it through his shitty comedy.
Yeah.
So whatever. Uh,
And there's all kinds of indulgences that wouldn't necessarily show. Like, I don't know. He's not the first person I've heard make this comparison. Like, well, if you're
yeah.
talking about a Christian and their habits, you shouldn't be overweight on stage because blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's,
There's just no winning with stuff like that because it's like, yeah, if you atomize it down, yeah, people are doing things. Everyone does things that aren't good for them all the time. Like some
yeah,
people work too much. Some people don't call their moms enough. Like like there's a lot of ways that people aren't living their most optimal lives, and you can optimize what you can, but not everybody does, and that's what I don't know. It's just being a human. I don't know. It's just
yeah.
no winning.
Yeah, it is interesting that just like a fly going to a light bulb, he just goes straight to something that leads to an insult for people, like
Yeah,
that he gets to shame someone or make fun of somebody.
right.
And not to mention that your personal healthy choices, they only impact you unless you have a family or something who's going to be impacted by your health or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we should focus more on being shitty toward people, but
Mm,
of course, Brad probably doesn't want to go there.
no, of course not. I do like this great quote, which is "We all fall short of the glory of God," which is true. We do all fall
Yeah,
short.
including me sometimes.
Wow. How humble
Not
from our
not
dear
everybody
leader.
falls as short as Brad Stine, am I right?
Oh! Fucking got him, dude. Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm sorry, Brad. Was that a slur? I know that hurts you just as much as it hurts. Yeah.
Oh, Brad, here, I'm sorry.
Fuck
Give me a
yo.
handshake, bud. Up here. Up here, Oh, sorry. Didn't think we could don't think we could do that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trivializing this at all, nor am I judging. So, when I fat shamed, no offense, no offense.
No offense. Not it's like the why are you hitting yourself kid. It's like I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. That kind of thing. Uh
He talks about dessert. So, so we must ask ourselves if we are consuming a food that gives our body no nutrition, but is simply for pleasure. Doesn't that sound very much like we are bordering on a sin? Uh, that is, if we believe doing something for the pleasure of it automatically constitutes a sin, that is the crux of the matter. We have taken on a tradition that somehow our Heavenly Father doesn't want us to enjoy ourselves, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I can see
yeah.
there's a little bit of a parallel there. Drinking's different because it impacts your mood, and that obviously can affect how you act toward other people and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, this is you can probably sense, and I didn't highlight nearly as much stuff. We're gonna skip over this. The part where he actually talks about the topic is kind of a little tedious.
Isn't it great how when he's actually on point, it's actually the most boring, trivial nonsense. Like, I don't know, just something funny about that. Like he's only entertaining when he's not talking about the thing he's supposed to be talking about. Like the fucking monsters thing. I'm still not over that. That was incredible. I actually almost want to
Yeah,
go back to that again and read it myself.
when he pulls up his backward chair, it's all right, guys. Let's get serious. Like
Yeah.
that's all right. Sure.
That's when you're like, all right, I'm gonna head out later. See you,
It's
Brad.
kind of like when on The Office they talked about when Michael Scott was doing his thing. It wasn't great, but it was something to watch. When Brad's doing his initial thing, it sucks and
Yeah.
it's stupid and it's offensive, but it's something to watch. This is just kind of like this is just watching him pontificate on a very simple question: is drinking and smoking a sin? And
Right.
he meanders all over the place. And of course, he's trying to hedge a little bit because he doesn't want to take too strong of a stand.
Right. I only get all of my moral guidance from Brad Stine. Can you
Yeah.
imagine what kind of life I would live? I don't know. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. It seems like the first half of these chapters are always where he's going to be offensive and he's just being Brad at his most Brad. But then when he decides that you need to be a little bit cautious is when you don't want to split your Christian audience. And so then we
Right.
see cautious
Exactly.
Brad, who's just very boring.
Feckless, all of them.
Yeah. Make
Ridiculous.
comments about stereotypical, images of Middle Eastern people, or talk
Yeah.
about the time that you used an offensive term for a little
Little
person.
person.
They
And
complain.
and did not learn your lesson. You
Yeah.
only stop because it made people mad, not because you cared or emphasized with someone's perspective. Yeah.
So go like a bull through the china shop on that. But as soon as you
Yeah.
get to something that might divide Christians, oh, you're just walking oh so carefully.
Mhm. Mhm.
A glass of wine, for example, is proven to be good for your heart. So we're just throwing in all the little
Yeah. I love that.
but the fact that that it has a relaxing element shouldn't make us see it as suspect. I mean, if you leave any medication, blah blah blah. Maybe God wants your head to hurt, so why do you take an aspirin? Blah blah blah. I'm skipping over some of this.
Wait, he actually said that? Maybe God wants your head to hurt?
He's being sarcastic. He's saying, well, if you think
Okay.
God doesn't want you to have alcohol because it calms you, maybe He doesn't want you to have a Tylenol because it helps your head not
Okay.
hurt.
Okay. Okay. I was like, Jesus Christ, like he that's pretty fucking mean. Just like God's like, here, have a headache because I said so. But
Yeah.
maybe he believes it. I
Um.
don't know.
Or ironically, Christians from Europe who might be reading this would be scratching their heads, wondering what the fuss was about. In fact, I can think of one particular who would. You want to know who he's talking about? Ever heard of C.S. Lewis?
Oh, C.S. Lewis. Yes, of
If
course.
if you wanted to spend time with, if you think you'd want to spend time with C.S. Lewis, which I don't think I'd care for that, but if you're a
No, no.
Christian, you probably think he's smart because you want him to be because you're a Christian.
I'd get lunch with the man, but maybe not beyond that. You wouldn't? You wouldn't? If you had the opportunity to meet C.S. Lewis back from the dead, you wouldn't get lunch with the man?
Oh, I would.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
I
okay.
don't. I wouldn't find it would be in a like train wreck. He
Okay.
probably has some interesting thoughts on some things, but
Screw tape letters is pretty good. I don't know.
his thoughts justifying Christianity are like
Yo, yeah,
as
no, that shit's
mundane and
garbage.
juvenile as any other apologist.
Yeah, well,
And that's what he's referring to when he talks about as a Christian, wouldn't you want to talk to C.S. Lewis? But if you did want to talk to C.S. Lewis, that would involve spending time in a local pub in front of a pint of beer. So he's going back to the
wow.
Charles Spurgeon thing again because it
Yeah,
was
it's
such
just
a
like,
good
hey,
point.
here's
You need to make it twice.
here's a Christian that people like, or somebody who says they're a Christian that drinks, and that's the argument for it, which is okay.
Yeah.
If we're talking about famous people doing things, like, how about all the famous Christians that ask for people's money on the 700 Club and stuff? Hey, a lot of people like them. What's the difference? Like, I'm sure you can find a million people that say positive things about Joel Osteen. So I don't know. Like, you
Yeah.
can kind of do this with anything.
Yeah, really, this is just an appeal to authority or just an appeal to like cultural relevance in the Christian
Yeah,
community.
yeah. It's not very powerful in my mind.
Yeah, where everything's supposed to be purely what's in the Bible, but now we're like, well, this Christian did it and this Christian did it. There's a lot of
Mhm.
Christians did a lot of things, Brad. You want to stand behind all of those?
Yeah, Jesus.
The truth is, now, did you know this, Dan? Did you know this, chat? Listen carefully.
Oh,
The truth is, when the Bible speaks about alcohol, it never says don't drink. It says don't be a drunkard. There's an
yeah.
assumption of responsibility and moderation other religions don't even offer. And it sounds like he's trying to imply every other religion either like tells you not to drink or doesn't care, I guess. It's a
Yeah.
standard thing. Christianity is the only original, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In many ways, this is similar to the prototype people, which is Adam and Eve. Adam,
Mm.
it was given life to enjoy simply for the sake of enjoyment. God only placed one condition on it. don't eat from the tree.
That's kind
So
of a
he's saying,
presumption about Adam's creation there. I don't know if God explicitly said why he made Adam, but okay, sure.
yeah, that is true. Yeah. But God only placed one condition: don't eat from the tree. And then he talks about God says, enjoy your Sunday, wings, blah, 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 even your beer. It's up to you to moderate yourself.
All
But
right.
eating from the tree is a weird example because God doesn't say God doesn't say eat from the tree in moderation. Like that's a hard, just don't do it. So what does that
That's a
have to do
good
with
point,
moderation?
actually. Yeah. Yeah, they still got fucked, right? Like they still got kicked out. So like what's the what's the silver lining there, Brad?
Yeah.
I don't know
We're
about
not
that.
supposed to say don't do things. We're supposed to say do it in moderation. And as an
Also,
example, here's a time where God said absolutely don't do something. Like,
yeah,
good
like
job.
how many people like Brad is also going to be the type to be like, don't wear provocative clothing because it could tempt people. Okay, well, won't drinking tempt people to get drunk? Like, it's an argument that cuts kind of both ways, right? Like, I don't know. This is why I left
Aunt Jer said,
Christianity.
I whore in moderation.
I do like that. It's just like if I ever became a Christian again, which I won't probably, but like, like I would really want answers to these things because like no Christians really have any answers. Like there's just so many freaking differing opinions on this stuff. And it's just kind of whatever you feel like at the end of the day. I don't know. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem very clear at all.
Purple Rhymes with Orange said, and by the way, hi, Purple. What if Adam did not eat from the tree, but only distilled the fruit to make alcohol?
Hmm.
They would
I
still
don't
be
know.
touching the fruit, though. It's if you touch it or eat it. So,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
if you
Okay.
could find a way to distill it, I guess, without touching it, like take a branch and hit
Yeah.
it.
What
And,
if you just get some tongs and you just do it that way?
yeah.
I don't know. What if you fed it to a dog? Would you have to kick the dog out? Who's to say?
That's a good question. If staying away completely keeps you from living your freedom life, blah, blah, blah. Um, he says, even our culture puts certain restrictions on drinking. So not being able to drink until you're 21. So drinking that before that age will be
Okay.
breaking the law, which means you have sinned, which I found kind of interesting. So now, no matter what the law is, if you
Oh,
break it, you've sinned.
so if I'm in Japan and I drink at the age of 19, not a sin. But if I go to America, I am sinning.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that makes sense.
there is kind of a biblical justification for that because I think Paul or somebody somewhere I think in the New Testament says, follow the laws unless they contradict biblical teaching or something. But still, it's a weird stance, especially considering Christians are very selective about that. There are a lot of laws
Yeah.
that don't contradict the Bible, and they still say our freedoms, blah blah blah. Not
Hmm.
that standing up for your freedom's not important, but you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
By the way, just as an aside here, I am not making the argument an organization can't impose as one of its rules that one cannot imbibe while working under its particular ministry. I have no problem with that. If they have chosen a code of conduct that works for them and you don't like it, then don't work for them. So basically, I think people should have their freedom to drink and it's not a sin. But if a certain church wants to make it against the rules, then that's good for them. They can do it and you go work somewhere else.
But
So
why? Why do they get to make that rule if it doesn't matter, Brad? I thought the whole point was that, we shouldn't care about what culture thinks.
you know why I think it is?
Why is that?
Because he's waffling all over the place like crazy and just
Yeah,
doesn't
like
want to upset
you
anybody.
kind of didn't answer any questions. It's just status quo. You're just saying follow the status quo, which is not an answer. But
And next to
okay.
this, for some reason, I made a note. Help me understand why I made this. I just put celibacy question mark.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue. Chad, do you know
Like
why Zod would put
it,
celibacy there?
let's just say so he says if the church drinking isn't a sin, but if a church says that you shouldn't do it, then just follow the rules. What if a
Yeah.
church says you need to be celibate to work at the organization? Say, the Catholic Church or something like
Oh,
that.
okay, I see. Yeah.
The,
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, that's the same thing basically, right? It's not a sin.
Oh yeah, you're
but
right.
So he's just all over the map, and nothing he says makes sense. He's trying to hedge, and he's trying to like avoid taking too hard of a stance to make people mad, but he has no sense of nuance or very poor skill with language, and so he says things that trip over himself all the time.
Yeah, like Brad's the kind of guy, and Christians do this all the time. It drives me crazy now. But it's like they imply that their position has a lot of nuance, right? When they just, they
Yeah.
have to look at biblical examples or things from history. But at the end of the day, it's always just follow the status quo. It's never anything like meaningful. It's just like whatever is happening right now is probably fine. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Brad, what if prohibition was in America again? Or would you be on the side of saying like, oh, we should follow the law, or should we break that because we're Christians and it doesn't matter if you drink or not? Like, there's no clear answer to anything.
And this is one of the fundamental problems with a religion like Christianity that's about sin dictates. Like that cuts off any thought about why you do things. Like once you separated what's harmful from what's good or bad, then there's no reason for nuance because it's just all about did somebody say it was good or bad in a book. And it's not always all about it, but I think when you allow for that possibility, it just short circuits your thinking, and you're not trained to actually think through the consequences of things. And there's this weird mix of pure dictate, some thought about nuance, and then just going with your gut level intuition, which is religion kind of allows for. All right. We still have a few pages here. We're just going to blow through it because it's kind of he says, now I grant getting drunk in Jesus's day certainly didn't have all the repercussions we face today with cars and firearms available to all. No thought to whether firearms should be available to all.
Yeah.
And this just comes.
Brad's like, I think we need to arm our 5-year-olds with guns because, it's their right to, as Christians and Americans.
Yeah. But what I see this as is, again, he's trying to walk this line that makes all Christians happy. So when he says getting drunk in Jesus' day wasn't the same, because I think he talked about how Jesus made water to wine for people.
Yeah, but I thought
like
a sin's a sin, right?
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
But it doesn't have the same consequences. So it's kind of just trying to justify that we have one stance today, even though something was different in the Bible,
Yeah, but that's just an argument for consequentialism, which you shouldn't be if you're a Christian, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Doesn't make sense.
The rest of this is very fluffy. He talks about how the imposition on alcohol can be used to squelch your opportunity to witness. So if, your friend says, hey, you want to have a beer, and you say, no, I don't drink, you might miss an opportunity to sit there and have a beer with them and, talk to them about Jesus. So it's all about your opportunity to be a salesman, I guess.
Wait, if you can get someone to Christ, you should totally drink. Like that's the case there. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Here, I'll just read a quick part about this. For example, I know a Christian who moved into a new neighborhood. He met a man who had moved there from another country, and this guy invited his new Christian neighbor out for a beer. The Christian said, sure, I would love to. Immediately, the new neighbor said, that's great. I gave the same invitation to another neighbor, and they said they don't drink because they're Christians. So.
Oh, okay. Hey, Brad, did you tell them that it actually doesn't matter and that Christians it's okay that they can drink? Did you tell them that? Because, you could have, right? Like you could.
Well, the Christian he's talking to was talking about other Christians. It's a secondhand story.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah. I don't know. So, sure. I think
this is interesting because if your ministry tells you not to drink, don't do it because they can make their rules. But now he's saying it could hurt your witness. So this ministry is making rules that hurt people's witnesses. So it's like he just throws all these things against a wall and never really talks about how they interact with each other and whether that ministry's rules might be a problem.
Yeah, that church that doesn't drink, they need to go to all the bars downtown and witness to people, actually, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense here.
Yeah. He talks about the adulteress who was caught in the act. Oh, okay. If you were uncomfortable at the beginning, here's a little bit for you.
Oh, Jesus.
The Bible
this is like the third most frightening thing you've said today. We're
This isn't
ranking
nearly
them
as bad. This isn't nearly as bad as anything else, but it's something to watch, as I said, in the middle of all this
Okay.
boringness. Now, of all the sins a person could commit, and believe me, they are numerous, if I had to single out one I would not be caught in the very act of, I pretty much think I would lean toward that one, that being adultery. Maybe it's me, but I'd rather have my pastor see me robbing a convenience store than to find me in bed with a woman who isn't my wife. To be honest, I'm not crazy about visualizing my pastor finding me in bed with my wife. I love you, brother. Now, what are you doing in my bedroom?
What the fuck is going on with this dude's head? Is he okay? Is he all right? Why is he worried about other men getting in bed with his wife? Why is he writing about this? I thought this was a Christian book. What the fuck?
No, the pastor's not in bed with them. He's in bed with his wife, and the pastor's there, and he doesn't want his.
Yeah, yeah. That doesn't make it better, man. Like I don't know what the. Okay. God, imagine if the little person was with Brad's wife. What do you think he'd feel then? You know? Why does he just write about fucking that? I mean,
well, he's one too, basically, you know.
Basically, he's one too.
You know, I just put together. He said, I asked this brother when he talked about the little person. Maybe he thinks that he's, you know, they're brothers, you know, fist bump each other. We're both.
Oh my God, you're right. That's why he said that. You're right. Oh, God, as if I didn't have enough reasons to hate fucking Brad Stine. Just put that thumbtack on the board. God damn.
What's up, my M word?
Stop. Oh, you're so right.
Isn't that the energy he's giving though?
My M word. He would say my M word. Oh.
I don't feel totally comfortable just using that word in a joke, except to read it directly. But yeah.
This is terrible. Oh, so bad.
So he goes into that. He actually talks about how he had a drinking habit. He used to have like a beer or two at night every night when he had dinner or whatever. And it got to where he always did it. And his wife would get on him a little bit and then finally kind of nagged him. And then he quit. And then when he quit, he felt better. And I think his mom said that he used to be an alcoholic. And he goes, oh, I was. And so now he talks about how he hasn't had a drink in a while. So that's his drinking story.
Okay.
He was an alcoholic, quote unquote, in the sense that he had a couple beers with every meal. And I don't know if he drank more than that and he's not letting on.
If you're having beers with every meal, you might be an alcoholic. I mean, that's not a joke. Like that's probably, there may be something to that. I don't know.
You know, technically, I think if you have a couple a day, you're considered.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've been there where I would have a couple drinks pretty much every night, and I don't know. I don't think I really had a problem or anything like that. Maybe that's getting too real, but I don't know.
I need folks to understand. I drink sometimes on the weekends, and then maybe I do it on Zadanza. I know like I do it for a bit, but I need you to understand, and you can ask the people in my immediate life. I really don't drink that often. Just FYI, in case anyone's wondering. So
yeah.
But anyway,
I would just like to drink to relax. I don't like to get drunk and stuff like that. And I probably sound like I'm making a lot of excuses. I haven't been drinking much for a while, but it is a problem and it's unhealthy. And I have mixed feelings because, you know, Brad's a total piece of shit and he's offensive and he's crass and he's very mean to other people. But when you hear him talk about how he's, you know, not drank since whatever time and he is a little bit open. I've been completely sober since August 1st, 2017. So, you know, good for you, Brad. I'm happy you kicked that habit, and it's nice to hear you share your story, I guess. But still, you're Brad Stine, so fuck you.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. You don't get brownie points from me, bitch. You know, you can drink as much as you fucking want. I don't care. You're still a fucking jackass to me. Good job for good. Now you get to live longer and make more cringe content. So I don't know. Really, you're not doing the world a favor, I'd say.
And him telling that story feels a little I don't know.
You think he's like
I
doing
never,
it
I
for
never,
attention
I,
a little
I never
bit?
want to take someone as being insincere when they share a story about how they drank and they've gotten over it. I've been sober since this time. I want to have enough humanity to at least be happy for someone for doing that. But forgive me if I'm a little cynical about Brad's intentions and suspect maybe,
Yeah, it's kind of like the little person story where it's like, oh, he
yeah,
wants to get credit for that a little bit, right? Like this is a real thing. Okay, like people like will exaggerate bad things that have happened in their life for clout. I mean, it sucks and it's sad and I don't like it, but that's like a reality, right? And like that was happening before the internet, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. I could definitely pick that up from Brad. Who knows though? Who knows?
Betty says, if you're not doing harm to others, drink on. Yeah, I never drank in a way that harmed anybody in any way. It
Yeah.
wasn't good for my liver was probably the extent of it. And my doctor
Yeah.
said, try to keep it to a day or two. And that's been kind of what I've done since then.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I, it feels a little bit put on and it feels like it was a, uh, planned way to tie it together and have a little, he tried, he opened with his comedy. He tried waffling and meandering his way through the alcohol question, and then it feels like a natural thing to close with the "and here was my struggle, and I'm over it now."
Mm, well,
So I don't know.
yeah. I don't know.
In
Brad,
all sincerity,
I don't want to
good for
feel
you.
sorry for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you,
Yeah.
Brad. If you've stopped drinking on a human to human level, I'm happy for you. I don't want to let myself be a person who reacts to a shitty person by being shitty. So good. I still
Hey,
think
that's
most of the
fine.
way you talk about people sucks.
I say on a human to human level, go fuck yourself, Brad. I'm
Yeah,
still saying that at the end of the
yeah,
day. Because great, you overcome a personal problem. You still have other problems that deal with other people that you
yeah.
need to work on. At least by the timing of this book and by your recent stuff, I think you still probably have some stuff to work out. But hey, um, you know, is
And
what it
Biddy,
is.
I wasn't arguing with you at all about that. I think you're totally right. It's for me, it was a matter of health. And if somebody doesn't want to be healthy, that's their right. If you're not
Right.
hurting anybody and you want to do something that's not healthy, as long as you're making an informed decision. Right now, of all times, if drinking is your way to cope and you're not hurting anything and it's not good for your long term health, I guess do what you need to do. Don't lean on it too hard. But
Yeah, I honestly feel bad sometimes even having a drink on a stream because we do it for the bit obviously, but it's like, hey, even just that little bit of doing it is a bit of a social pressure for people who like struggle with that, right? So it's like I kind of don't want to contribute to that even on some level. I guess I do it
yeah,
anyway, so maybe I'm a hypocrite, but like I don't know. Brad doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to think about that kind of shit. Maybe he does, but I think it's more just like again, it's like, oh, I struggle with this too, so you can do it, you loser, right? It's like I had to work hard. He had to work hard, you know? And those kids with
yeah,
cancer, don't even get them started, you know? They didn't work hard
yeah.
enough is really what it was.
Zidane's liquor or beer win. I don't totally get it, but
Like we should have a liquor named after us. Is what I'm saying.
oh,
Sort of
oh, gotcha. Okay,
maybe a
okay.
cocktail of some kind. I'd be down for
All right.
that.
We should wrap this up. We've gone a little bit long, but that's basically the
Yes.
end of the chapter as he talks about his story. Now, um, I want to read his closing line here because of how it ties to the next chapter, which I want to read the title of before we're done. There are situations where Christians judge other believers for what they perceive as backsliding, when in fact the backslider is by far bringing more value to the kingdom. Do you think it should be obvious to tell the difference? I know a story that might give you pause. Read on.
Oh, oh,
You want to know what the
God.
next chapter is titled?
Oh, please give me a teaser. I'm ready for it.
Saints and Strip Clubs. Assume truth 4. There are some places too
Oh,
sinful for Christians to enter.
I just like something in the pit of my stomach just dropped like when you said that. Like I feel nauseous after hearing that. I don't. Oh, oh, that's gonna be rough, son. I'm glad you're reading it and I don't have to. That's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah,
tell you what.
before I show up here, I've usually read the chapter in full and then skimmed over it at least one other time. So,
Yeah.
and then I do this show. So,
Jesus.
of course, on the other
Oh.
side of it, I see things coming. I'm not caught by surprise live the way you are.
Yeah, that hit me like a train, dude. I'm gonna be sore in the morning from that. That was
Jessica
wild.
Bell. Oh yeah, shake it, madam. Capital knockers. I feel like if a stripper saw Brad Stine come into the strip club, they would all have an instinct to like head for a bouncer or call the police. I don't know.
Let me tell you, Brad Stine's the type of guy to tip with $1 bills. You know what I mean? He's the guy, he's gonna do the $1 bill in the anyway. I don't know.
All right. Well,
God.
what's your closing thought, Dan? By the way, first, like, comment, subscribe. If you have money and want to go Patreon pledge, great. If you don't, please stay away. Like we said before. But that business out of the way. Final thought, Dan.
We have discovered an untapped well, right? So like, when The Room first blew up, or Birdemic, these sort of so bad it's good, right? You get the joy of the so bad parts, and at the end of the day, like, the movies are still, at least in some scenes and some parts, just kind of boring and just kind of bad, right? That's the problem with so bad it's good. With Brad Stine, the problem is still here. There's still the boring shit, but goddamn, when the racism hits just right, it's like that was an experience. I couldn't believe it, and then the prejudice out of nowhere against little people. I mean, that's the hit that keeps me coming back. You could say that maybe I am a drunkard and or addict to Brad Stine's content now, because I do want to see what he has to say next. I don't know. And also,
we have an expression that it's like, I can't believe we've missed it, and this doesn't stick with us. So Brad, it's good.
That should be the name of the segment. That should be the name of every time we talk about Brad. So Brad, it's good.
Oh my gosh. How did we miss that for so long?
Dude, how did he not call one of his comedy specials that? Oh, got it. Trademark, copyright. We got this. Oh, yeah. All right. What are your thoughts, Saad? What are your thoughts?
My final thought is, really said they'd give him a lap dance. And my final thought is, only if they could get that low. Ayo!
Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. La, 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 la casa del merengue. La, 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 y la casa de la bachata.